Skylanders Trap Team. Most of us have played this game at some point. Playing the Chaos Doom challenges, Brock's Rumble Club, or playing Budget Guitar Hero.
Let's get down to business. You gotta be kidding me, right?
Or playing through the complete story mode. But how many button presses would it take to beat this game? Just a few? A couple hundred? Or even more than 1000? I embarked on a quest to find out. This is beating Skylanders Trap Team with pressing the least amount of buttons. But first we need to start off with some rules. They are quite simple. From the moment I enter the file, any button I need to press is counted, including going to the menu, entering and exiting a level, even quitting the game and getting back into the file. As it might surprise you, quitting out the game will save button presses. Trust me, I will explain later. For the button presses themselves, if I press a button, I may hold it for as long as I like, until I don't need it anymore. And it will still count as one press. With that, let's get started. So the game begins. Let's skip the cutscene. Oh, wait. I can't. That's a button press. Well, it's been ages since I watched this story anyway. Finally, my trusty wrecking ball. After walking just a little bit, we get here. The game wants us to jump, but with some shenanigans, we are able to avoid pressing anything. I can't say that for the next one though. So forced to jump here, or forced to use this cannon. But now I will drop down and get this area. But why would I do this at all? I will be getting the second star of Soda Springs as well. It might be confusing now, but will make sense later. It will save presses in the long run. Going down here again makes us jump one extra time. Now we are heading to Sheep Creep. But how are we gonna beat him with the least amount of presses? Well, we don't need any presses to deal damage. There are multiple Skylanders who can deal damage without pressing anything. In this challenge, I will start with the worst, and throughout the game, if one dies, I can't use it anymore, and I will move on to the next one. And the worst one is... Yes, I know, I'm sad too. He's one of the OG Skylanders to many. We all know about his soul gem that allows his bird to attack enemies. Why he's the worst? He simply refuses to attack villains. That also brings me to the next option we have to deal damage. Magic items. I will be allowing myself to use them if it's simply impossible to deal damage to an enemy, or if my Skylander is below 100 HP. Any non-damaging magic items I can use whenever I like. Magic items are a great way to deal damage, such as the catapult, sparks, old DLC levels from previous games, anvil rain, and the list goes on. But for Sheep Creep, I will be using the only villain who can deal damage without pressing anything. Threadnought. Even though he can't even one-shot Chompies on easy mode, he is able to take care of Sheep Creep.
Sheep Creep defeated.
After trapping Sheep Creep and taking the trap out before I need to press anything, we can move on. So we are forced to jump here. I get the next area. We need to jump here too. Now into the arena. After letting the Chompies get squashed by 3 wrecks, for me to get the next area, I will switch to a Skylander who can double jump. Any swapper will work, or Sonic Boom, Lightning Rod, Double Trouble, or Punk Shock. A double jump consists out of putting a villain in the trap slot, jumping with the villain, switching to the Skylander, and jumping midair. And hugging the wall to the left will result me in getting the area in 3 presses, instead of the usual way. Switching to a Trap Master, hitting the crystal 3 times, and using 2 jumps to get out. After opening a gate for the next area with the Water Trap Master and the light gate with Nightlight, we open the life gate with Bushwhack and kill these Jumpies with Anvil Rain for the enemy goal, avoiding falling down and needing to jump back up. We get to the final gate. Before that, I make T-Rex fall down from this ledge to get the area down below. Open up the gate, dodge the boss for a little bit. Then we get to this barrel, which Dreadnought can get for us. We need to jump here. Then we get to the cork section. We can barely avoid jumping here because of T-Rex's enormous hitbox, where we sadly need to jump at the end. Use a cannon once again, jump 2 more times, and we make an end to the Gulper with the trap cancel. And with just 2 more presses, because of the Portermaster rank up, we are out of the first chapter. Those were a lot of presses. I'm pretty sure it gets better later. But before I can even progress to the next chapter, I need to switch out T-Rex for a smaller Skylander, cause he can't even fit through the rank up reward. Then we can actually talk to Flynn to enter.
Next stop, Know-It-All Island.
Know-It-All Island is pretty straightforward in terms of presses. We can avoid 1 press by jumping to the second platform from here. We jump to get the key and open the gate. I jump 2 more times before arriving to the next gate. This gate, however, takes too many presses. 2 jumps for the first key, another 2 for the second key, and a final 2 presses to use the keys. Instead, I will just skip it with just 3 presses, with a double jump. After killing these enemies, we are introduced to bombs. The game wants to throw it towards the gate, but if you just let the timer run out while standing near the gate, it does the job. I am forced to throw the next bomb, however, to the tank. After letting the woodpecker get rid of the trolls, we jump again. Talk to blobbers, jump another 2 times to get to this boulder. The second boulder is no problem. Then we get to the third section. I will press R2 to enter it, and I keep holding it until everything is gone. Then we got the Slobber Trap. But for him, I'm not allowed to use Dreadnought, because any Skylander in the entire game can kill him without attacking. Just lure him near this ledge, let him lock on for a leap, and get out of the way, and then he will fall to his own demise. I did struggle with this with T-Rex, because of his slow speed stat and his really big hitbox. But in the early chapters, villains deal almost no damage at all. And after doing the final turret section and pressing away the stat screen, we're able to enter the Jumpy Mountain. This chapter is anything but straightforward. After entering the chapter and destroying a wooden gate, we need to save 3 Mabu. The first one there is no problem solving. The second one can be freed by abusing the same bomb strategy as before. But the third one, we need to get up to the same level as the Mabu by continuously jumping on the same button. However, I'm able to cheese it a little bit. After the first jump, I'm not jumping again. Instead I will go to the very edge of the button's hit detection and slowly walk out of it without falling off the button. Then I can walk to the middle again to press it again. I repeat this a few times, getting to the mountain with just 1 press. After beating the trolls, we get introduced to the worst thing that can happen in a minimal button challenge, needing the button mash. This pillar needs to be spun around by mashing the square button. The least amount of button presses I could get by pressing in a slow enough rhythm to not let the pillars get reset is 7 presses, but I'm not spinning the pillar. I will be using Hoodsicle can perform a trick called a Hoodsicle Dash. It can be done by first dashing with Hoodsicle and switching to a Skylander a few frames later, but the regular Hoodsicle Dash won't let me clear this gap. We need to combine the Hoodsicle Dash with a double jump at the end, so we get over the gap in 3 presses instead of 7. After shooting the Jumpy Mage twice, I arrive to Bruiser Cruiser. Dreadnought is able to deal very little damage to him before the timer runs out, but luckily I can just run away, let the timer come back and deal damage again to defeat him very slowly. As you might have guessed, I'm not spinning this pillar either. But I won't be using Hootskool for this one. Instead, Rage Mage can clear this gap with just one button press with this dash. After dealing with the lock puzzle with one press and doing the arena, we get to the final pillar with just 8 button presses so far this chapter. But what if I told you we can go to the spot with just one single button press? Let's rewind a bit. Now we're in the cutscene of the chapter again. Instead of waiting the cutscene out, I will put the villain in a trap slot in a specific spot in the cutscene. And after it's loaded in, we can see a swap animation in the distance in the cutscene. This is where I use the one button press to skip the cutscene. This warps me to the location the swap animation happened, completely skipping the first half of the chapter. Now that leads me to the last pillar. I will get over this gap with just another Hootskool dash and a double jump. We need to shoot this cannon. All the enemies right now are not to worry about. After getting to the top and jumping 4 more times, we get to the first actual boss of the game, Jumpy Mountain. Funny thing is, T-Rex, his woodpecker can actually deal damage to Jumpy Mountain, while small chompers are nearby or when he's spawning out rings for some reason. But because I can't jump, I can't avoid getting hit, so he's gonna deal a lot of damage. T-Rex gets very close to dying, but he barely avoids it, completing Jumpy Mountain. On to Phoenix Sanctuary. This chapter is very simple. Any skip I tried just adds more presses over the intended way. Use an acorn, jump 2 times, get the second acorn with Shred Knot and use it, use a third acorn, turn the switch, then we get to Shred Knot can get rid of this imposter by doing the same thing as we did to Bruiser Cruiser. We use another acorn and another one. We get to this arena. I thought T-Rex could be in some trouble here, but there's plenty of food to go around. We skip Chill Bill by just ignoring him. I open the gate, grab some more health for the final arena, jump 3 times. The arena's enemies spawn a lot of food as well, so it's not a problem. When you get the Cuckoo Clocker, it takes over 10 minutes of using Shred Knot and running laps with T-Rex to finally defeat him. Now it's time for Chef Zeppelin. While I enter this chapter by pressing X, I don't release it yet, because this chapter starts with the 3rd section. It allows me to clear the 3rd section as well with the same press. At the end of the 3rd section, we do need to release it and press it again. I turn the turret 2 times, and I shoot it twice as well. Small arenas are still no problem. After arriving to Bombshell, this is yet another villain any Skylander can beat by just moving around. If you stand close enough to him while he's throwing his bomb, he can just deal damage to himself, so no Shred Knot needed. After a jump to regain some health and grab the key, we get inside the Zeppelin. We are finally introduced to Sky Stones, but this tutorial of Sky Stones takes a lot of presses. After every little thing they explain, I need to press X, for a total of 19 presses to get through it, but I will be quitting out of the tutorial for 2 presses. I use a double jump to get past the wall. I won't be doing the Sky Stones match either, but this wall can't be double jumped like normal. The next best option I could find was
Blast and Furious!
Blast Charge is able to do a speed glitch we call Supercharge. I dash, then jump 2 frames later, so he's in a glitch state. After using his Flame Breath attack, he has a lot of speed. Then we simply jump down to this bounce pad to get up to this railing, and from here we use 1 jump to get over the gate. It's still 5 presses, but way better than the 7 presses needed to beat the Sky Stones. On to the next boss fight, Chef Pepperjack. I thought that was gonna be the end of T-Rex for sure, but the woodpecker, for some reason, was able to damage him as well. That made the start of the fight really easy. If you let him dash against a wall, he will drop health for you. But what had me worried the most was the last phase when he's spawning stakes on the floor, and the floor will do continuous damage to you. But by some coincidence, I somehow managed to get on top of a stake when he spawned it, and I was able to keep standing on top for the rest of the fight, making T-Rex surprisingly survive this fight too. During the challenge, I start to realize T-Rex is not even close of being the worst, because of his 1300 health, and he looks like he's just ignoring small villains, and not the Doom Raiders. So for the sake of this video, so I can show more of the usual Skylanders I found, I will switch to the actual worst Skylander on the list, Stink Bomb. And the bottom half upgrade has the attack Sneaky Tactics. If you walk slowly, and I mean very slowly, you can throw down spikes behind him to deal damage to enemies. But this angle, at least with my PS5 controllers, is insanely hard to drop them down, making it an absolute nightmare to actually deal damage. I combined Bomb with the top half of Rattle Shake to make use of his Raise the Snakes upgrade, so he can actually take a little bit of damage. So now we're ready to move on to Ravenous Roo. After having trouble on destroying a gate, we get to the first arena for Stink Bomb. I do seem to drop spikes down somewhat consistent when walking down, so the small enemies were fine to deal with. But then you have Brawlers. He makes it very hard to even hit him. I did manage to get some hits in, but I need to use a catapult at the end. Then we are introduced to buildable bridges. We jump to grab a pile of wood and make the first bridge. I grab the wood again for the second bridge for the first gear we need. The game wants us to do sky stones again, but we can just jump on top of his head and double jump from there to get over. And we jump over it again on the way back. We jump another time to use the 2 keys for the gate, but we can do way better than that. We go back to the start of the chapter again. We use Magnet Charge again to get super speed, to get us to this island. I won't get the keys this time. After a jump, we can do a Hootsuka dash from here plus a double jump to hit the respawn box that will respawn us right past the gate. But because we did this skip, the door is closed, but Hootsuka can dash against it and hit the loading zone from the other side. So after the arena we can press the button. As you can see, because of the skip we did earlier, the crane does not spawn either. Well, for the crane you will need to press a lot of times, so this Hootsuka dash would save presses anyway. From this point, I get on top of this railing and do the Hootsuka dash to the left, to hit the respawn box that pushes further up. After making a few bridges, we get to the final crane, but we can get to the spot with even fewer pressers, with another cutscene warp. That just leaves this chapter with entering the crane, grabbing bait, dropping it, and grabbing the fish, finishing the chapter. We proceed to Monster Marsh. This chapter is quite interesting. I feel like I'm getting slightly better at dropping down spikes, but it certainly does not make it fun to use. The first press in this chapter is a jump. Then we get to a spot with sky stones again, so the game will lower the gate after doing it. We are able to get past this gate luckily, and it's not even with a double jump. Just switch to a Skylander with a really thin hitbox, like Mini Genie or Punk Shock for some reason, and you can straight up just walk around the gate. Punk Shock hitbox also lets us walk under this platform to fall down. For this arena, I can just walk into this corner with Stink Bomb, and enemies will just walk right into it. After doing a lock puzzle, the game wants us to proceed through this poison swamp with Marsha. This takes a few presses, so I'll just clear it with one press, with
No chain, no gain!
Ghost Roaster's ectoplasm mode allows him to go right past the whole swamp. This chapter also has a cutscene warp to this spot. This warp also results in some balls not spawning at all, so we can just ignore this arena and waking up this Mabu by mashing. This leads us to a few more sleeping Mabu. This would need 13 presses to get to the final arena, but of course we can just skip this. Hot Dog can do yet another glitch. We call it a Zoomy. Hot Dog will do his Comet Slam, and in the 2 frames Hot Dog is slamming downward, I interact with the Mabu, resulting in Hot Dog keeping the slam down speed, going all the way to hit the respawn box. This arena had been worried about Stink Bomb. A lot of enemies in here won't follow the Skylander. Instead they run away, making it annoying to deal with them. And with a lot of patience and some dumb luck, he was able to clear it. Now we are heading to the worst chapter by far for this challenge. Telescope Towers. Beating this chapter the normal way takes about all the previous chapter's presses combined. But I'm already telling you beforehand, we can do a cutscene warp straight to the boss fight. But I will still show you the presses the normal way first. It starts with 3 jumps. We get towards the first button of many. Just like in Jumpy Mountain, I can cheese all the buttons the same way for one press. This leads to another button, and yet another one. After doing this arena, there are yet another 3 buttons. I push a few blocks, leads to another button to grab a key to open the door. The buttons are not even the worst thing in this chapter. It's the fast asleep Mabu. This Mabu, and all the other Mabus we encounter, takes at least 14 presses to wake them up. After another button and arena, I need to press 3 more buttons. After building the bridge, I use Dreadnought's hitbox to walk along this ledge to get to this platform. There we arrive to the first time I actually need to do Sky Stones, without counting in the warp. It takes 13 presses to complete. We use the key, that leads to another bed. We arrive to this arena. I do get a bit low, but because Undead is strong here, he makes you through Hootsuckle. That gets me to another 2 beds, another button, and why not another 2 beds and a button. After taking a bit more damage, I get to Pinata. He follows Skylanders, so I just need to avoid his attacks. But when I kill him, I need to stand right on the spot the button will come out, so I can avoid jumping on top of it. After the final 2 buttons, I get the Dreamcatcher. The first phase is pretty easy. She moves in a scripted pattern, and I can just touch the beds to remove them. But the next phase makes it really hard to deal damage, because when you touch a platform, it will fall down after a few seconds, removing the spikes if I even manage to spawn them. I basically need to drop them down on the platforms I don't touch and hope she gets hit. I did manage to get to the final phase. This lets her spawn enemies that can damage me more easily. It also heals Dreamcatcher slightly. I also decided I was not gonna use magic items, because that makes this challenge really easy. Redder Bomb did get her low, but he did die. Moving on to the next Skyland on the list, but this one is not much better. Lobstar. One of many Skylanders who can deal damage by getting damaged. On his bottom path, he has Getting Steamed. If he gets hit, he damages enemies right back who are very close to him. But the hitbox is so small, I only managed to deal a little bit of damage. But she even healed more than I dealt damage, so he died right there too. That leads us to Jawbreaker. With the second top path upgrade, he gets Hands Off. When he's hit, he spawned electro sparks that go towards enemies. Jawbreaker was able to actually hit Dreamcatcher easily, finally defeating her. But before I trap Dreamcatcher, I get into the PS5 menu and get ready to close the game. I put in the trap and take it out. And I quit the game just before the complete stat screen appears, using 4 presses. I get back into the file for another 5 presses. Why did I even do it, as you must think? This results the game still considering the chapter has been beaten, but it also gives us 0 stars for the chapter. I will make use of this later, so wait a little bit longer. Moving on to Mystic Mill. The optimal way to beat this chapter, with the fewest amount of presses, is a little bit complicated. The normal way starts off simple. Just 8 jumps with the third section. You let the marble build some stairs to grab the first key, but I won't open the gate with it. By double jumping over it, we can smuggle the key to use it for the next gate. So I just have to grab 1 more key, avoiding grabbing a key that needs a lot of presses. Jawbreaker has no problem dealing with enemies yet. After letting these mobs destroy a wall, we jump twice more. Jawbreaker can't destroy this wall, so I used Anvil Rain to get rid of it. Then we can get into the arena. But that was the easy unoptimal way. Before I even enter the chapter, I switched to Doom Zone, add a second player to put on Igniter, and finally Winged Boots. I put Igniter in a specific spot. I activate the hyperspeed glitch with Zone. It's the same inputs as Supercharge, but you need an upward slope to perform it. After I talk to Flynn, While he's still talking, we are still able to move. I put Zone on this ledge, then I press yes to enter the chapter. Flynn will still talk, so I let Zone fall off the map. I skip Flynn's dialogue a few frames before Zone would respawn. You know when you get the timing by hearing this sound in the chapter load in. When the cutscene is done, I immediately remove Igniter and disconnect player 2 again. So now you put on the villain to let player 1 spawn at the start of the chapter. And right away, take off player 1, and in the portal screen, I disconnect player 1 and add player 2. I let Igniter load in one more time. And because I have wing boots on the portal, it warps Igniter to the spot where the Skylander is in the first frame of the chapter's cutscene. But I'm in the middle of nowhere. This is where Igniter comes in. He can do combos mid-air to gain a lot of speed. The first combo doesn't do that much, but will keep increasing. So doing 3 combos in a row will give more than enough speed to go all the way to the end. We only need to stop the momentum with a trap switch mid-air. Because of the warp, the gate is not lowered, so I need to double jump over it. And no, I can't go to the arena right away, because it won't trigger yet. I need to land here specifically. That leaves Jawbreaker with the arena, which you can clear with no worries. Beating Mystic Mill. Now Secret Sewers has just as a confusing skip as Mystic Mill. The intended way, however, starts with a bomb we can abuse like the most we have encountered. We drop down here to use a bounce pad to skip a jump. On this spot, the game wants us to turn the valve so we can get past. It uses 3 presses, but this method is kinda lame. So I put on wing boots, and after hitting a bounce pad, I do a double jump, just clearing it with 2 presses. This leads to this lock puzzle. This one would require 2 presses, but by switching to Blaster Mind and making use of a soul gem, we get past it with just 1 press. These small enemies are fine, but these ranged enemies, they launch bombs. And I don't know why, if Jawbreaker gets hit by them, he just spawns nothing. So I need to either get hit by different enemies so I can get rid of them, or use magic items if there's nothing else left to damage me. I just need to jump 6 times in this room and use 2 presses for the puzzle. We arrive to the first drop-in section in the game. Before I jump down, I switch to Jet and I dash into the drop section, and I keep dashing all the way down until it's free to move. This leads to skipping a whole arena and platforming section. After doing this laser puzzle, Jawbreaker drops a little low now and again, but I get a little lucky on a few fruit drops. After a jump, we drop down once again, push 2 blocks and jump once more. I intentionally fall down here to respawn a little further, and after one more jump, we reach arena. As you might have guessed already, we can skip right to this arena. It's not a simple warp. At this bounce pad, instead of going further, I land on top of this ledge, and then I fall off to the right. I pass a few frames before I would respawn. In this loading screen, however, we don't just wait this time. Just before the loading screen is done, I switch to the villain. Now I just skipped the cutscene at the right time, while Flynn's boat is just into frame completely. Instead of the Skylander warping, it's a villain being warped. It has been given a few properties as well. The timer is infinite, and it will ignore death planes, but the camera won't focus on him, so we need to move him to the correct position blindly. I just hold down until the villain timer has blinked 23 times. Then I stop holding. I would recommend using Sheep Grip for this skip, by the way. After waiting a few more seconds, the villain hits the arena trigger, teleporting the Skylander to the arena. The arena is a bit underwhelming in terms of how low Jawbreaker gets. I just need to get hit by the right enemies who dealt the least damage, while all the enemies are very close to each other, fitting Secret Sewers with more health than I expected him to. Wilikin Workshop is somewhat simple again. The first press is just a lever. I'm actually noticing the enemies are getting way stronger now. Jawbreaker gets past the first part of the arena okay, but he can't damage Scrap Shooter, so I use Tiki Speaky to deal with him. These trains are a little tricky. Jawbreaker is pretty slow, so he can't really make it from platform to platform, so I make use of Punk Shock. She has a movement speed upgrade called Hypercharge. She's able to make it to the second platform by walking. I jump 2 times before getting some health. In this room, there's a little bump I normally can't walk over, but if I use Punk Shock again to walk against it, and then put on Shred Knot, he is able to walk over it. These enemies get Jawbreaker low again. This leads to these 2 bumps, but I can't use the same thing as before. Instead, using Shred Knot, and using the bounce pad to get it on this very small ledge. And with some tight movement, he's able to just barely move around the 2 bumps. We get to the crane. This would take 9 presses to continue, but with 2 double jumps, I'm able to save 3 presses. We get to the final enemies before the boss, but this is yet another one of the locations we can warp to. But there's a little bit more to it. The warp location is a little far away, so I need to use Bone Jumpy and Winged Boots again to use his bite attack mid-air. I was able to make it with just 5 bites. These enemies are not spawned yet, so I need to walk back a little bit to hit the trigger. Then we get the Dr. Crankcase. I was kinda debating if Jawbreaker could make it or not, but these barrel enemies can spawn food to my surprise. I had to make some calculated decisions, like when he throws this small boss at me. I need to get hit by the poison goo, which dealt less damage than the enemy he threw at me. And I just need to avoid the Crankcase drop, or just get hit by the spikes. The spike can damage them as well if I lead them into it. Beating Crankcase with ease. Now it's time for Time Town. It starts with a jump. I fall down to avoid a jump, and jump to a bounce pad. After another 2 jumps, we get the first enemies. The Cross Crows also don't activate Jawbreaker sparks, but they are fine to deal with while the other enemies are around. After doing a steam puzzle with 3 presses and a small arena, I jump 4 times. I skip the last 2 jumps by going down to the bounce pad. I need to jump another 4 times to reach the next steam puzzle, which takes 7 presses. The start of this arena is fine, but at the end there are 3 Cross Crows left, and another enemy who shoots rockets who can activate Jawbreaker sparks. If there were not 2 food drops in this spot, it would have been the end of Jawbreaker. The last arena spawns even stronger enemies. At some point I thought it was impossible for Jawbreaker to survive, but he barely escaped with 55 HP. This final steam lock takes 10 presses, but luckily we can get to the spot with a skip, and it's not a warp this time, it's with the Zoomy from the start of the chapter. The only thing we can interact with is a chest down below, but this platform is too low for Hotdog to make it, so I add Hotdog as a second player. I put him on top of this turning platform, so I let Jawbreaker interact with the chest to activate the Zoomy, so Hotdog makes it all the way to the end. This just leaves the final room, with 2 jumps. To avoid pressing all the buttons, I just switch to Igniter, and I put its Flame Spirit on the ending platform and let it trigger the end of the chapter, leaving with the Bordermaster rank up. I enter the future of Skylands. This is one of the chapters with the least amount of presses in this game, because this is the very last chapter that has a warp. But first, let's get over the normal way. The first thing I do is from the very start of the chapter, I jump and do a hootsuckle dash to the right to save 1 press. I turn over this lever. This arena introduces more enemies who can't activate Jawbreaker's attack, so I need to use a cannon at one point. After jumping and talking to Snuckles, I push a few blocks and fire this laser 2 times. Before I continue, I switch to Punk Shock with Winged Boots once again, so with their fast walking speed, I can avoid a jump. I get rid of these enemies, jump once to press another lever. After avoiding these atoms for a bit, we are able to enter the Woofer. However, this is the spot we can get to with the final warp in the game. This warp puts the villain very high up in the air. The setup to get to the spot is holding up until the moon in the background is gone, then I tap down to stop moving. I fall down for a little bit. After I see the actual level, I start to hold left and a little bit up. This gets me into the loading zone. I thought these enemies would be stronger, but Jawbreaker gets past this with max HP. I arrive to these bridges. They would take 4 presses. By using Rage Mage instead, I jump on top of this and do another jump plus a dash 2 frames later. But while doing this, I also keep holding X, so I can use this press for this entire plane section. This just leaves Wolfgang. He has way more health compared to the Dreamcatcher. I pretty much expected Jawbreaker to die, but he did way better than I thought. He was able to get to the laser light show, but sadly died right after. I really underestimated Jawbreaker. This leads to Stomp Smash. He has an upgrade Thorn Bark. It lets him shoot out thorns to close by enemies when he gets hits himself. Combining with his waterlogged soul gem, which if there's any water anywhere, it could heal him back to full health. But in the Wolfgang fight, no food will be dropped. So he was really bad for this fight. He dealt some damage, but nowhere close enough. The next one did not do much either, sadly. Voodooed. The Eon's Elite version specifically. He has to upgrade Electric Feedback. It deals damage to close enemies when he's hit, so it's better for multiple enemies at once. So Wolfgang had no problem dealing with him either. We get to one of my favorite Skylanders, Popthorn. In his top path upgrade, he has Prickly Body. When he's hit, he releases a spike. Combining with the soul gem, to puff or not to puff, he gets some much needed armor. It's not much, but it adds up the more times he's hit. He was finally able to clear the rest of Wolfgang's health bar, beating the 13th level. I get to throw rocket steel. This chapter was not as hard as I expected it to be. Just get rid of a few trolls, use a bomb. Because of Popthorn's soul gem, trolls almost deal no damage. We get to the first lock puzzle, where I just used Blaster Mind. After saving the last Mabu, the game wants us to press a lot of times, by building these stairs and pressing these buttons, so you can get another bomb. But the bomb we used previously is also still there, but we can't make it by just walking normally. As you might have guessed already, in come Punk Shock and Winged Boots. This lets us come close. I just need to throw the bomb just before it explodes, so it's able to make the last bit of distance. After another use of Blaster Mind, we get to this area, who constantly spawns trolls and has troll mechs. Popthorn can't damage the mechs, but the Mabu can destroy them if you just get rid of the trolls for them. The trolls also have a pretty good chance to spawn food, so Popthorn was able to get to the arena with almost max health. This arena was a bit more difficult, but I got one more food drop at the right time that made me deal with Threatback easily. Then we arrive to the worst chapter in the game, in my opinion at least. This is also the chapter with the most presses, so it's even worse. I start off by entering the chapter and holding X again, because the plane section the chapter starts with. I first do a double jump to skip pressing more for a key. This arena spawns a lot of enemies, and Popthorn is not that good for groups. These enemies could spawn food, but did not, so he got out pretty low. This leads to this spot, where normally Tycoon Crow would spawn, for a game of Skystones. We all know Skystones take a lot of presses, so I have two options. Before going into the chapter, I will buy a Skystone seed in the hub, but that takes 4 presses alone, and actually triggering Tycoon Crow and skipping the Skystones adds another 3. So the second option, double jumping on top of this ledge and jumping on top of the hitbox where Tycoon Crow should be, is better. I get to the first third section after one more jump. I jump on top of this gear and jump off of it. I get to this arena with very low health, and with no way of any more food drops, Popthorn died. This gets to the final Skylander who deals damage by getting hit, Fist Bump. He needs multiple upgrades to get him to deal damage. The first one is Don't Bump Fist Bump. This activates his fault lines. But how do we spawn the fault lines? It's with this soul gem, riding the rails. He creates them by just walking around. Plus his top path upgrade, fault lines in glass houses, it lets him deal a lot of damage. But the only downside is, he does not have that much health, so we need food drops a lot. It ends with the second third section. After that, we get to the second time Tycoon Crow wants to do Skystones. If I bought 2 Skystones cheats in the same visit, it would add 2 more presses, but in the chapter itself, it would add 3 more presses again. So doing this double jump from here is once again the best option. After another gear and 3 more jumps, Fist Bump cleared these enemies before the last third section. And after 7 jumps, we get to the final arena. Fist Bump really needs a food drop in this arena, but I did not get lucky this time, so Tycoon Crow finished him off. Now we're getting into the Skylanders, who in theory can deal infinite damage if they manage to dodge everything. The worst one of them is Cinder. Her soul gem upgrade, Haunted Ally, lets her deal damage by just standing nearby enemies. It can only hit one enemy at a time, but it's more than enough to deal with Tycoon Crow. But that was the normal way for this chapter. And like I said before, there are no warps in the remaining chapters left. Let's go back into the hub. As you can see, I only need one more star for a Portalmaster rank up. This is where I re-enter Telescope Towers for 3 more presses. I get into the menu again and look at the objectives for 2 presses. When I do this, I claim the star from the chapter. This would me rank up to 8. But if we quit to the main menu and get into the file again for another 3 presses, this will store the Portalmaster rank up pop-up. So the only thing I need to do is enter Sky Highlands and leave to the hub with the final 3 presses. This triggers the game into completely clearing the whole chapter. Remember Soda Springs? I added 4 presses there. And Telescope Towers? I added 9. And completing the Sky Highlands skip added another 11 presses, for a total of 30 presses, instead of the 37 needed for the normal way of beating Sky Highlands. And with all that done, let's enter the Golden Desert. This chapter is back to basics. Just slowly kill some enemies, talk to Kelly and enter first turret, explode a wall and get the bone Jumpy, but Cinder was able to beat him with no problem. Talk to Kelly once more, do another turret, explode the second wall. I jump 6 times to press all the buttons. This arena is fine with Cinder. I just need to grab the bombs to speed up the process. But I did need to use Enver Rain to kill this enemy up top. I use Blaster Mine for this puzzle. For this laser puzzle, I can either use a double jump or just do the puzzle with the same amount of presses. I get some food before leaving. This bridge puzzle can be optimized a little bit. I move the metal bridge to the correct spot first. Move the bamboo bridge to the left to grab the wooden bridge. When I get back over, I use Rage Mage and I do a jump dash over the gap. When I entered this arena, I already knew it would take a long time. And it did. She can only deal 44 damage on a normal hit and 66 on a crit. When Grave Clobber spawns, I was a bit careless about my health. But I locked in at the end, making Cinder barely survive the arena with 24 HP. We get to the lair of Golden Queen. The start of the chapter is pretty simple. I just lower the wall by doing the puzzle with 2 presses. After going past it, I walk against this ledge, then put on Threadnought to get on top of it. I switch to Rage Mage afterwards and do another jump dash to skip the rest of the whole room. I jump 4 times before I get to this sneak section. I can't avoid jumping around the first one. I can use Threadnought to get past these 2 and I need to jump once more to get past the last one. The game wants to get rid of these enemies, so I can do Skystones afterwards. But I just skip it with a dash against the wall with Hootsuckle. This just leaves Cinder to Golden Queen. And from the start, I knew there is no way she was able to clear it. She has almost no health and her DPS is not so good either. In the first phase of Golden Queen, she attacks with these rings I can't jump over. And it leaves no room to get Cinder to deal damage, without getting damage herself. If I let myself get hit when the 2 rings overlap, I was able to dodge the damage from the other ring, but she was not even able to clear the first phase. Moving on to the next Skylander, Batspin. She has 3 bat allies. First we have Mr. Dizzy. He is able to deal a little bit of damage and is able to stun and confuse smaller enemies. Then she has Mr. Blocky. He's only able to deflect specific projectiles, and even if he does, it's through a random direction. And last but not least, she has Mr. Bitey. This bat is able to deal decent amount of damage consistently, but all the bats just circle around Batspin randomly. She gets her Golden Queen's next phase. She spawns totems who launch shurikens, but they are fine to avoid most of the time. But once you destroy one, it spawns food who will heal 150 HP. So I tried to save as much food as possible, until I actually would need it. Eventually, there will be less and less space to walk on, but there's a safe spot on the bottom left, where I can just wait. Then she moves on to her giant phase. She just keeps throwing shurikens, which are really easy to avoid. It's a little slow process, but it's fine. The second last phase makes her spawn more totems. It just lets me heal constantly, until the final chase section. With the help of Anvil Rain, to get rid of these walls, I did not think Batspin would beat Golden Queen, but she did. We finally get to the very last chapter, the ultimate weapon. The beginning is not that bad. I only need to use Anvil Rain again for this enemy. Once I arrive to the laser puzzle, I put on Hootsuckle, and I do a Hootsuckle dash towards this corner. While he is going over the gap, the game triggers a small animation, which during this allows Batspin to pass through death planes. This makes me skip the puzzle and a few enemies. I only need to do a double jump up here so I can hit the trigger to avoid a soft lock. I jump once and I do the laser puzzle with 3 presses. I jump twice, then I arrive to Smokescream. He was a little bit underwhelming to deal with. To progress, I only need to use the DLC level for these enemies who I can't deal damage to without jumping. I jump 2 times and I do a double jump to save 2 presses. And I jump another 6 times to get to this room. After doing the puzzle, after the second press, I rush straight towards these platforms, who lift off Batspin at the same time when the platforms are raised. I press this button and jump. I do the final laser puzzle by pressing once. We finally arrive to the final boss of the game, Chaos. Let's get over the phases. He starts off with running away and spawning a single ring, who deals 60 damage, which after the 3rd time, he finally passes so I can get a few hits in. Then after every single ring, I can damage him for a brief period. During this, Batspin is already getting kinda low, but I managed to trigger the second phase. That lets him attack with elemental bullets. If I grab one from the Skylanders element, it can heal Batspin a lot. After he's done with that attack, this time he will spawn 2 rings in a row, dealing 120 damage combined. He luckily cycles between his bullets and his rings, so this phase was pretty easy. He also starts to use his Doom Sharks, who are just more of a healing opportunity most of the time. With the next phase, he starts to attack with his blades, but the blades can easily be avoided. During this, Batspin is in no trouble at all, but from this point on, after he heals himself for the second time, he rarely will attack with sharks or bullets. And he does this attack, who deals a lot of damage, even if I let them overlap. Batspin was no match for it. If I wanted to, I could have cheesed the whole game, by avoiding any damage, by taking the Skylander off the portal, and putting it back on again, to make use of the invincibility frames. But I decided I'm not allowed to use that. We get to the next Skylander, Bumble Blast. His Soul Gem makes him spawn bees when enemies are nearby. It has a lot of range, and they spawn in pretty quick succession. Plus his Honeycomb Bark upgrade, on his bottom path, makes his armor better. Bumble Blast already gets kinda low from the start, but he gets some good blocks, and Chaos attacks with sharks and bullets at the right timing. Even though Chaos starts to spawn 3 rings now, Bumble Blast somehow makes it all the way to the end, defeating Chaos with only the use of 2 Skylanders. I thought I needed the rest of the Skylanders that were left. Punk Shock with her high speed to avoid attacks, and her positively charged upgrade to deal damage. I did not have to use T-Rex again, or Barkley, who just has the same health as T-Rex, but has a smaller hitbox and higher speed stat. And finally, Lightning Rod. He might not be the best in terms of health, but he makes up for it in raw damage. His entire bottom path, with Soul Gem, makes him deal damage. Cloud Zapper Satellite, Zapier Sets, Zapier Satellite Defense, and Zapper Field Deluxe, damaging close by enemies, and stun locking them constantly. But I guess that's what happens on easy mode. And after pressing away the stat screen, and rank up one final time, I've beaten Skylanders Trap Team in 271 presses. Although, after editing this video, I found a few more optimizations. I never even needed to skip getting the Telescope Tower Star in the first clear. I could have just waited for the final objective for Soda Spring's second star, and start a rank up from there, saving 9 presses. And if I ran this on the Wii U version, I could have saved 12 presses by using motion controls for a few keys in the game, like Mystic Mail and all of the 6 acorns in Phoenix Sanctuary. And if I did this on the Wii version, I could have saved another 5 presses on using motion controls for the bombs, in Noda Island and for Rocket Steel, and the Magic Pillar in Jumpy Mountain, making 245 presses, the lowest number to my knowledge. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Was it less presses than you predicted? Or did you guess even lower? Or did I miss something obvious to save even more presses? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching.